So under the DOC's watch and care, and it was touched upon before, a transgender inmate who happened to be serving a 30-year sentence for manslaughter, so this is not a jaywalker, incarcerated at the Mahan facility, impregnated 2 female inmates. Will the inmate that impregnated those 2 inmates be transferred to a male facility now that he's proven his virility?
I want to be very, very appropriate in the way, that I respond to the question, because, sitting in this seat, and all of us, having had discussions about the...
Commissioner, is this a legal issue, or how is this handled?
Well,
is this something that you can answer?
I think from a policy perspective, we can respond to that question. I'm comfortable from a policy perspective. The current policy is very clear that there is a presumption that you shall be housed consistent with your, as you identify yourself, the gender in which you identify. So that would indicate that the individual should continue to be housed in a female facility. One of the issues that we have with the actual Edna facility is and you may have heard this before, because, it's one of the reasons, why we really need to be able to close the facility, is the limitations of the facility. In an ideal world, we would probably have almost sister facilities that would mirror one another. So minimum, medium, maximum housing, and then you have the ability to move. You don't have that ability when you have one maximum compound or one medium compound. I see AC Bond shaking his head, because there's a bit of frustration with that. So that's when we're working with CGL. Those are the things that we have to fix, with the next facility. Directly to your question, there is a presumption under the current policy that an individual that identifies as transgender female would be housed in a female facility.
Even after showing activities such as that?
The settlement agreement and the policy as it exists does not take into consideration hormone treatment.
Okay, I think there's some room for improvement there. After this happened, 2 of the Mahan prisoners brought a lawsuit. Based on a class action lawsuit filed by these 2 Mahan inmates, was the threat taken seriously? In other words, the lawsuit was based on that they felt that they were in danger, that there were other instances of sexual contact between transgender inmates and female inmates, and abuse and threats and other unsavory behavior. So was that threat taken seriously?
All of their concerns are taken seriously, and this is one of I think in some ways one of the benefits of us being on the ground and walking and talking in the facility. So, we did have individuals bring those claims, but across the board, any safety security concern that's brought forward absolutely has to be taken very seriously. And that's, and we get back to those safety security procedures, right, that have to be in place. Those are the fixed cameras, the body-worn cameras, the rounds, the 30-minute rounds that staff need to be doing and are doing. We walk through and check logbooks, that they are doing. The monitor checks the logbooks. That's holding folks accountable. And not just the staff, that's holding the incarcerated population accountable as well. There are disciplinary charges and sanctions for the incarcerated population. I think all those things have to be active and effective and well-known and in place.
You could see how if a taxpayer looked at this situation, that there were no consequences for what that inmate engaged in. Still in the same facility, still exposed to the same population that he violated in the first place. You could see where people would feel there were no consequences for that behavior.
I assure you we are reviewing the policy.
Okay, because it actually is a direct violation of the New Jersey Administrative Code to keep them in a sort of precarious situation like that. those inmates without some substantive action being taken because of it?
What we were talking about is, in a public forum, I am not comfortable talking about the modifications that we're proposing to the policy, because there are a number of other stakeholders that we want to ensure that we're including in that discussion as well. But there absolutely has to be a balancing of interests. And the point that you raise, I mean, is a point that's not lost on us. The cisgender population at Edna had been ignored for an incredibly long time. That's how we get to some of the injustices, where we are now. There has to be a balancing between that, and we know that the transgender population is a victimized population. They are a vulnerable population, and I assure you that those are the considerations that we're undertaking when we're reviewing the policy.
Would you be able to keep us apprised of what actions you're taking? If there are actions that you can't discuss now because they're still in discussion phase? The
settlement agreement and the policy are public. I have to be honest, I would have to check with, those that are certainly outside of me sitting here in terms of, fresh policy, and if we're able to share that fresh policy. Forgive me, I wish I had a direct response to that.
Okay. Somewhat, a little bit more positive, I guess. New Jersey has comprehensive policies to take care of pregnant women inmates. And our state deserves a lot of recognition for that, I believe. What costs are associated with maternal care for pregnant and nursing inmates? Do you have that information available?
Let me see if no, okay. I'm being advised that we don't have that broken out. From
okay, if you don't mind, through the chair, if you would be able to get us that information?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I understand the inmate that impregnated the two women wants surgery now. Do New Jersey taxpayers pay for hormone treatment and that type of surgery, gender reassignment surgery?
Sure. I mean, the medical contract does provide for hormonal treatments. I don't want to misspeak. Okay. I do know that the medical contract provides for hormone treatments.
Is there a difference between elective surgeries and, life and death needed surgeries?
I mean, I would have to rely. Forgive me, because I just don't want to misspeak. I would be more comfortable relying on our medical experts. But
okay. Again,
that's fine, Commissioner. If you could provide us if you could provide us just the information to the chair, that's fine.
Okay. And one more quick question. How much have lawsuits from former inmates cost the taxpayers? And, we know there's been some issues there. So do you have a number handy on what the total cost? And if you can, provide a breakdown of the costs, which are legal fees and settlements and so on.
Yes, I apologize. I don't have that. Because we have the Edna settlement that has taken place in the last budget year, and we have Adam X that settled in the last budget year. But if that's something that we can, to give you an exact dollar amount, if we can pass that through the chairwoman, I would appreciate that.
If you would, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman.